What is up YouTube, it's your boy Alex here from AlexCFE, and today we have another deck profile. Today we're going to be going over one of my favorite decks for Lyrical. We're going to be discussing Kairi. Kairi has always been one of my favorite archetypes for Lyrical, so even if it isn't the most competitive deck in the world, I still will kind of always build it and always kind of update it, and I think I've brought like 2 Kairi profiles, 2 or 3 at this point, to the channel. This might be my 3rd, I forget off the top of my head, but I'm a big fan of this archetype and I really love playing it. I love the play style, just the bouncing, the multi-attack, it feels very nice for me. I'm a big Excel player, so I do personally like that. But with all this being said, let's hop into the deck profile and I'll start off with the ride line. Let's jump into it. And right before we begin, I just wanted to quickly mention that if you are interested in purchasing any of the cards that you see here today, we do have a TCG player link down in the description below. Absolutely no cost to you. You could help support the channel. Thank you guys in advance for using that. I really do appreciate it. It does help me out a lot. You know, I never charge you guys. I'll never do like a premium subscription or anything like that, so anything you can buy through that link if you were to purchase any of these cards, very much appreciated. Also, if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like on the video, possibly consider subscribing to the channel. But with all that good stuff out of the way, let's hop in. And I'm keeping it classic for this. I'm honestly just going with the regular Kairi ride line. I like to be able to discard something, get it right back, bounce it back with the grade 2 later on. It just feels very nice overall. Now, I will say I have been debating putting the Ballista ride line in here, and I'll show you why in just a little bit, but that is definitely a viable option as well. I just found that I was starting to run out of some room for certain techs, and I kind of like to tech this out a little bit more than maybe some other people do. I'm playing with my personal preference here. Like, I've seen lists, I've seen that, you know, certain cards are ran certain ratios. You know, I always like to tailor it to what I experience when I'm playing and my play style in general, and that's always what I'm going to bring to you guys. Always take these kind of deck profiles at face value. If you want to swap that in, go for it. Absolutely no problem with that. But that is the ride line. Let's hop into the main deck now. Starting us off over here, no surprise, we are running actually the grade 4 copy of Kairi. Now, a lot of decks I see are actually running this at a ratio of 2. I tried doing that. I was playing with it, you know, I wouldn't find the searcher, I wouldn't find certain pieces, I just couldn't find it often enough. I bumped this back up to 3. It's just a personal preference, you know, I mulled hard for it, I just, you know, didn't see it as often as I would like to. With 3 of them, yeah, towards the end of the game, it does become almost like a dead card, but at the same time, like, this is your win condition. You don't see this in any capacity. Like, you're going to lose the game, no ifs, ands, or buts. There are no other Persona rides in the deck. Like, you need to see this. So with that being said, I do like this at 3. I know you can cut it to 2. Absolutely fine. If you want to do that, go for it. We have other searchers, like I mentioned. So one of those over here, let's just hop right into that first because I've been mentioning it, is going to be the transfers, or no, I'm sorry, Orbital Surrogate. So this, I'm sorry, I'm so used to saying transfer and playing it at this point. This is actually a really great searcher for this over here. We all know what this does. Go and search the grade 4, add it to your hand, go search for a grade 3, or if you already have this in hand, go search for 2 grade 3s, 2 different names, and we have multiple targets actually as well. So I do really like this card in this deck. This is definitely the one you want to run. If you don't have this, if you have transfer, maybe go into that. Otherwise, you know, don't use the Gratis Gradel because obviously we're not Persona riding in a grade 4. Those are really, I feel like you're only 2 viable choices. Next up here too, a new card. I'm kind of glad we got this for the nation. Pick these up while they're cheap. They're only like $1 at the time of recording over here, so definitely want to get your hands on them if you don't have it already. Even if you're not playing Kairi, there's other grade 4 decks I'm sure going to come down the line, but this is going to be colored Bop Dragon Walbrigia. I think that's how to say it, Walbrigia, something like that. But basically when it's put on Rear or Guardian Circle, just like the other nations have their grade 3s that do this, you basically reveal a grade 4 from your hand, or if you're already on a grade 4, you don't have to reveal anything, you're fine. On Rearguard Circle, you get to Counterblast 1, draw a card, gets 10k until the end of turn. You can use this multiple times during the turn, I'll show you how in just a second. But over here, we are going to also, on the Guardian Circle, get an extra 15k when it's placed on that if you have that grade 4 Vanguard. So obviously Kairi bouncing stuff, it's really solid. You could bounce this back to hand after you've already placed it and use its first ability there, and really get another one. Excuse me. Get another draw off of that, another power. You are burning like a lot of resources for it. It is a counterblast, but counterblast really does equal a draw at this point. Deck thinning is deck winning, and it's not, you know, that's just like a pure plus kind of to hand, pretty much. So that is super solid in my opinion. I do really like this. When you pop it twice, you do kind of go plus on that. So very, very solid. Big beat stick. Pairs really well with the deck, does what you want to do. Next up too, we have 2 different things over here. Now this is just an alt art. This is a relatively inexpensive card, so it's a promo version of it over here, but Bashful Shriver, Kinky, and Starry Witchcraft Roseanne. So Kinky basically used to be pretty essential for the rush kind of style that I had with my previous Kairi deck, but now over here, since we are playing something a little bit more stable, it's not really 100% necessary. I think I used to run this at 2, but it's still really good for the Soul Charge. When placed on Rearguard Circle, you choose a grade 2 or less unit with Assassice in its card name from your drop, and then you may put it into your soul. If you put a card into your soul, you can counterblast 1 and get 10k until the end of turn. Don't need to do that second part. It's the Soul Charge that we're really looking for. Also, Starry Witchcraft Roseanne, kind of deck thinning, or just kind of like deck manipulation in general. and tucking things into soul, because we're going to blast through soul in this deck. It's just, again, no kind of like any way around it, so to speak. Her skill, since it is a new card, I'll read it off. Auto on Vanguard Circle. When this guy attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, put a card from our hand into soul. Look at the top 2 cards of our deck. Choose a card from among them, put it into our hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck. So you can actually stack and start to get like a really nice pile in this deck through this card and one other. And at a certain point, I feel like if the game keeps on going on, you're going to hit that pile if you're not shuffling for stuff, which I don't think you really should be outside of maybe one card in this deck. So if you're playing this right, if you're playing this for the long game, if you create that pile, start to whittle down your deck, all of a sudden, boom, you're going to hit like a nice kind of stack of triggers, which is pretty cool overall. I actually kind of do like that. So yeah, one of that, and these are also the Orbital surrogate targets for the deck. Pretty solid. Getting into the grade 2s now, we have a really solid grade 2 lineup. I think that's really become pretty spectacular overall. So over here, we are going with Soaring Bubble Penelope. I don't even think it says Penelope now. I'm so used to saying that, I guess, in English, but Soaring Bubble Penelope. So its skill continues on Vanguard Circle during your turn. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Kairi in its name, it gets 5k. This is actually really big because there wasn't a lot that gave like an extra 5k previously, so just swinging, you know, 15k on your opponent's 10k is pretty big overall. Its second skill, Auto on Vanguard Circle. When your other front row rear guard is returned to hand by the ability of your grade 3 greater Vanguard with Kairi in its card name, Soul Blast 1, stand all of your rear guards in the same column as this unit. And if your Vanguard is grade 4 or greater, all your front row units get an additional 5k. Does everything the deck wants to do. It used to be kind of like a song and a dance that we had to do to kind of manipulate, go and you know, do these multi-attacks, do the 5 attacks. It used to be a whole lot. Now this card has made it so simple. Bounce back with Kairi skill, grade 3 or grade 4. And you're getting that 4th attack, maybe that 5th attack coming down too if you're on that grade 4. It's just so easy with this. But this is one of the units that do use the Soul Blast, and we're going to see why. We also use it elsewhere on another card. But Soul Blast is a very important resource in this deck overall. So very, very good card. Extremely important in the deck. You need to see these. You need to pretty much use that as soon as your grade 3 goes live and onward. So very, very good. I'm glad they gave us some solid support like that. It's a very easy, smooth kind of piloting process at this point with that card in the deck. You used to have to kind of, you know, like I said, go through, jump through some hoops in order to kind of get those multi-attacks. But here we are with One Night Witch Strega. So Strega, also, if you don't know, I think that's like witch in some Eastern European. I forget if it's like Polish, something like that. But in Italian too, they call somebody like a streg. You know, it means witch, so it's witch almost, which I found kind of funny. But when this unit is placed on rear guard other than by a unit's ability, so we have to manually play it. If you played a normal order this turn, we Soul Blast 1, look at the top 5 of your deck, choose a card less than or equal to your Vanguard from among them, reveal it, call it to rear, and if it is a unit card, put this card into hand. If it's a normal card, shuffle your deck. Basically, we don't really use it for the skill. It's the second skill that we're big on. If you use the Orbital surrogate and you want to pop that, like, sure, like, go for it, it's fine, but chances are you probably won't at that point. Its second skill, Auto. When this guy attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, if this unit was placed this turn, we have to CB1, draw a card, 10k until the end of turn. So again, kind of copying exactly what that grade 3 does, a little less shield value overall, but just super solid to get that extra card draw. Like, we really are looking, we're not gonna, like, we don't have a super explosive kill turn. We're really like a mid-range deck with pokes, multi-attack, that like they feel substantial, but they're not really always over that like 1 card to guard threshold. So getting that extra 10k is very important in this deck, along with the 5k that your Kairi kind of provides to this. I mean, it's going to be a 25k swinger at that point by itself, which is a solid number if it's boosted. Obviously, you're getting to that 33. 33 is really the magic number, and that's really where my head is at for the current state of Overdress in general. But very solid card. I think you do need to run this. I know it's unfortunate, it's kind of expensive right now. Maybe there'll be a substitute in a later set, but as of right now, we don't really use Counter Blast for much else aside from like 1 or 2 other things here. So that is a very good way to use them. Again, your Counter Blast should almost always equal a draw. I am still including 2 of these cards. Now, I have to preface this is kind of like a personal choice. I like to be aggressive with this deck. I've always kind of built my Kairi deck that way. I've always believed in like Kairi Rush. My mindset has not changed, especially with the meta right now. Like, you have to kind of whittle people's hands down. This card kind of helps you keep up the pressure if you are going first. Going second is not as impactful, but let me explain why over here. So looking up pranks as me. So Auto on Rearguard Circle. When your Vanguard with Kairi in its name attacks, you can Counter Blast 1. Return this unit to your hand. Choose up to 1 looking for pranks as me from your hand. Call to open Rearguard Circle. If you call, choose 1 of your Vanguards. It gets 5k until the end of turn. So let me go over something really quickly. Let me rewind it here with the Penelope. So if we are on our grade 3 Kairi turn, we're going first, right? Typically, it's, you know, just swing, swing maybe with a column, swing with this and bounce them back to hand, right? We're going to bounce this now back to hand with the Kairi. This is going to see that bounce back, so her skill will be eligible to go off. you are also eligible to use this skill. You can also counterblast because it's not part of the cost that like you have to return it to hand. You do as much as the skill as possible and you get to choose the order. So you're soul blasting, bringing this back to hand. You can counterblast, pop this back down, soul blast to restand this whole column, and on your first grade 3 turn, while they're still on grade 2, you can still have 5 attacks. So I think this card is good right now. Again, I don't want to say I'm testing this deck because I definitely put it through its paces, but I'm still kind of deciding all the ratios and whatnot. I like this when I see it. I think at a 2 of, it's fine. If you want to take this out for something else, you know, like I said, always be my guest. I'm just here to give you guys ideas and show you what I am playing, and this is currently in my build, so here it is on video. So I personally do like that. I think it's an interesting tech, and I think it's something that people don't really understand and really kind of anticipate, I guess, so to speak. Moving on then to our grade 1s now, not really debatable, still need to run 4 of these. It's just like insanely important to find. That's where like the flaw of this is, like the best and like one of the worst things in the deck, because you need to find this to find your grade 4, to be able to ride it, to do all these different things, but I feel like this deck has now become so piece reliant. Like you need to see the grade 2 that restands spin up, you need to see this, you need to see the grade 4, like a lot of things have to happen in order to have a pretty decent output, but not like a game-ending output in a way. So that's kind of my take on the deck right now. But again, it's still very, very fun. Let me just bring one of the non-foil copies forward, just a little bit easier for me to read over here. But let's go into it because this is a promo. Again, stupid expensive. It's kind of dumb how promos are still kind of a thing the way that they are. I know that they've gotten better, but you know, things like this are still extremely expensive. And I've been lucky enough to find my copies, kind of get them from friends for a decent price, and shouts out to Eric, Jake, everybody helped me kind of source these, and we did get them from local, so I'm not, you know, giving into scalpers online, things like that, so don't do that either. Act on Rearguard Circle if you have a Vanguard with Kairi in its card name, and your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater. You can CB1, search your deck, soul, or drop for up to 1 grade 4 unit with Kairi in its card name, ride it as stand, and return this to the deck and shuffle it. Again, just so important. If you're going second, you need to be on that grade 4 to have any sort of like an impactful turn. This gets you there, this searches your deck, this thins it out, which is really what we want. It is a counterblast, you know, and there's a lot of things that do use the counterblast in this deck, but it's really up to the pilot at that point to kind of choose what you prioritize and what the situation calls for. And this is a deck that you probably have to play a couple times to get the real rhythm and like the flow and just how it kind of goes into other decks at this point, because you know, the style might be the same, the idea, the output might be the same, but like I feel like something has changed though, where it's not quite as good, not quite as powerful, so you have to know your matchups and really play to your advantages. But its second skill can use on Guardian Circle. If you have a grade 4 Vanguard with Kairi in its card name, this unit gets an extra 10k. Super big. 15k shields is, you know, 10k shields is what we've always been asking for, I guess. Now this gives us a 15k shield, insulates your hand so much better. Once you're on grade 4, you don't really need this. There's other grade 1s we want to put behind, so very, very good though. Consistency absolutely needs to be there at a 4 of, it's just unfortunate. If you want to cut some of the ratios and bump this to 4, I would not blame you, but we're going to have 3 Eureka in here. This is, you know, I didn't even realize that. I guess this is a pretty expensive deck overall, but 3 Eurekas just to pop things back to hand just makes it really, really easy. Get that stuff, recur it. Again, it uses a Soul Blast over here. Just a very good card, and this guy does get that extra 5k when something else kind of appears in that column. Yeah, just a solid card. You need to do what you need to do with it, and yeah, 3 of that over there. I still value this card. I know some people have taken it out, maybe for like the Order Searcher one, like the promo that got reprinted and stuff, but I still like this. I like 3 of our Beware of Overeating Eileen. You can even bump this to 4 also if you want to change some ratios. I would not disagree with that, just because you are swinging, you know, twice pretty much with boosted units, hopefully with boosted units before Kairi even swings, so you can really manipulate your deck and get that stack going pretty nicely if you wanted to go that route, or just put the triggers right on top, whatever is your preference. But this also pairs really well with the grade 2 Penelope, so you boost the Penelope with this, you look at the top card of your deck, you know, you swing with Kairi, you do it again and make sure you're like defensively okay. You could also just, or maybe you want to like draw it out later on. There's a lot of different options for this card, and I think this is at a 3 of is a good ratio. I think I see it pretty much every game at certain points. It's just, it feels good. It never doesn't feel good. Like maybe early game you don't want to throw that down because you're like discarding, recurring through the ride line, but overall really, really solid card. I still agree with that. 4 of the regular PGs, excuse me for the different art and whatnot. I just pulled a couple different ones out for this deck. I have so many Lyrical decks, I can't even keep my head straight with it anymore, so I actually swapped them all into white sleeves so I can just quickly go in between them at this point. I'm done with the double sleeving after this 50 card rule. But we are over here because we are a grade 4 deck, we can't really use Elementaria. We are just rocking those 4 right there. And cool, let's pan out and get into the triggers now. Alright, and I'm going to ask if you have made it this far in the video that maybe you hit that thumbs up button at this point. A lot of you guys watch my videos, obviously not as many give that like or subscribe, so, you know, that's my selfless plug, shameless plug right now. Let's just do that real quick. Okay, done. Alright, cool. Getting into the the trigger lineup. Starting off the over trigger, because we're still playing through our rear guards, I'm still going with this one right here. The in-theme one, if you want to go with the blue OT, you could do that. You know, even the vanilla one has like a case in this deck, I think, because, you know, you have 2 columns still live afterwards, and if you hit that OT, like, it's pretty much done. Even if they PG your Vanguard and whatnot, it's difficult to kind of go through and survive a turn of that. But I'm still rocking this one right here. I think this is good. We kind of win through our rear guard attacks, and that'll help us. Next up here, too, we are going into 3 draws. You need to survive the game. You need to play. Again, we don't have a complete blowout turn. Fronts aren't bad in this deck. I definitely wouldn't say that, but we've become so piece reliant that, like, we really need the draws just to see a little bit more in our hands, maybe. You know the deal at this point. Going over here, I'm just playing around with this ratio. You can go 4 vanilla. You can kind of go one of these. You can change it up whichever way you want, but I'm facing a lot of Sienna. I'm facing a lot of Jejuled. I'm facing a lot of Vanguards that have crit pressure, units that have that crit pressure, so I'm playing around with the idea of 2 of these in the deck. The critical ones gives the extra 15k shield. You can do whatever you want, but that is just kind of what I'm rocking. Maybe I'll bump it down to 1, but as of right now, I'm just trying it out at that too. And then, of course, we are playing Vanguard Overdress, so we are running 8 crit. Just, you know, nothing else really to say there. If crits win games, they end things, they make things, you know, smooth and easy, so that is pretty much it. Yeah, so that is the deck profile, guys. If you have any questions, let me know down below. I definitely would like to know if you would change anything, what you're rocking in your deck. Again, this is always a place that you can give constructive feedback, and we can discuss things. You know, people in my threads kind of do that and whatnot, so I kind of like to foster that kind of environment. Also, if you guys do want to, let me know if you want like a budget version of this deck. I've been working on like a grade 3 variant, still putting it through its paces, not 100% yet, but maybe I'll focus a little bit more if I get the feedback on that. So if any of you guys are listening at this point in the video, let me know down below and I will bring that. So thank you guys so much. This is Alex from Alex CFE signing out.